Thank you, Big Bro. I think when my brother got married, I gave the best man's toast. And I said then how I spent the early part of my life absolutely hating being known as Little Steiny. And then later in my life, being known as Little Steiny became one of the greatest honors of my life. My mother swears that I then kissed him on the lips. I don't remember that, so I'm not going to say if that was true or not. But I just echo Steve's welcome. What an awesome turnout. Thank you so very much. When my mom and dad got married, the wedding ceremony lasted 8 minutes. And my dad was pissed that it took that long. We're going to be here more than 8 minutes. My dad did not have any say in the planning of this program, but we are going to try to keep this as brief as possible. But we've got to honor this absolutely amazing human being. And as Steve said, this is a party. It's not a funeral. Sorry, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to have the Chapel Hill Steinbachers talk first. Then we're going to have the Bollingers. And then we're going to have the Concordian Steinbachers talk. They've been given a time limit. I don't know if we'll stick with it or not. Sorry. Then we're going to play the song that my mother says reminds her of her husband more than any other song. And then my mom's going to share a few words. And then we're going to go youngest to oldest. I'll say a few things. Donna will say a few things and probably sing a few things with some help. And then Steve will wrap it up and we'll close out this awesome celebration. So again, thank you for being here. Donna and Kiersten, you're up.
To get up here. My name is Donna. If you don't know that, my namesake is Donna around here. I don't know where she went. But I just want to echo everything that Steve and my dad have said. We're really glad everyone's here. I will keep mine brief in honor of Papa. Also, what I'm about to say is probably going to get echoed over and over and over again, but since I am the #1 grandchild, I get to do it first. I was Papa's first grandchild, and there's a lot of different things I can say about Papa, but I think the one thing I just want to focus on today is, I think, the most important thing that I learned from him, and that is what you should look for when you're looking for a life partner. Papa was not what you would call a social butterfly. He wasn't someone who liked to do big parties, liked to do lots and lots of things, and talk to people for long periods of time. But what he did do was show up. And he showed up when it was the least convenient for him and for everyone around him. I'll never forget it. My mom and Papa's 50th wedding anniversary party. We went to dinner with my parents and my sister and my mom and Papa. And my mom kind of got up and said something similar along these lines of how, you know, Papa wasn't the biggest partier and he wasn't the most outgoing person, but he was there. He always showed up for every single thing that you need. And I'm pretty sure every single one of my cousins is going to get up here and tell a story about how at some point in their life at 2 o'clock in the morning, Papa went and picked them up from the airport. I fortunately didn't often live too far away from an airplane ride away from Papa, but when I had the privilege of living with my mom and Papa for a couple months when I was in pharmacy school, I would take the train back and forth from Chapel Hill to Kannapolis. Papa would always be the one to pick me up and drop me off on the train. Anytime he dropped me off, he would say his goodbyes, and then I'd go get on the train and he'd sit on the bench at the train station and just sit at the bench until the train pulled all the way out. And just sit there and smile. So I'll never ride a train again without thinking about Papa. But thank you all for being here. I love Papa very much. I think the number of people who are here and our family is a real testament to who he was. And I'm excited to honor him today.
Good job, Mom. I'm Kiersten, Donna's sister and your daughter, but actually she did steal one of my thoughts there, because I was also at that dinner. And my mom's exact words were, Papa was never my dream guy. She went in and then she did get choked up, and what Donna said. But that is how she started the speech. But that really reminded me of so I guess 3 weeks ago when we got the call that it's time to go. My dad was already here. We were gonna, I had donuts in my car, ready to come say hi, bye, everything. Got the call, my mom, he's gone. And, so I'm not a big fan of death by any means. I was a little nervous about what I was gonna walk into, just like constant crying or whatever, but what really, that moment was really special because he had all 3 kids there. Everybody was laughing, and then I remember that when the hospice nurse finished cleaning up whatever, and we could go say, I was very nervous about that. I was not into that idea. And Erica said, okay, Kiva, let's go. And I did not want to go, but Michael was like, okay, let's go, come on, we're going. And we just spent the next hour and a half in the room with Pop, talking, laughing, joking. It was just a very memorable thing for me. And I wish all the cousins got to do that. But Pop always showed up. He was always there whenever you needed him. And as you can tell, there's hundreds of people here, and he would never have wanted this, but he shows up just like everybody that I can see in my parents' life. They show up with them, so I think that's the biggest lesson, is you just show up. So I'm happy everybody's here.
All right, Bollingers, we got more of you. Come on up. Ben did not get the memo about casual dress.
No, I did not. I'd like to start out by saying how proud and honored I am to be part of the Steinbacher family, and that foundation set by Papa has been very important in how special our family is. But Papa was so wise, and he taught us a lot of lessons. One thing he said to Bear before leaving for college was, you have 2 years, 1 mouth for a reason. Listen more than you speak, and that really resonated with me. Another equally wise thing that he told me was, you're not a man until you break your nose. And I stand before you with a perfect nose. It's been probably one of my biggest failures, not being able to tell that I got to break my nose and see how proud he was. I want to miss Papa a lot. Another thing that he taught me was to not take everything so seriously. When I was younger, I spilled some of his piping hot coffee on my leg. Cried like crazy. They gave me a Beanie Baby to make me feel better. This was last year. And from that day on, I was terrified of coffee. And he really capitalized on my fear. And every time he had coffee, he'd go, ooh. And I just couldn't stand that as a kid. But now I look back, and what a phenomenal joke. What a great lesson. Get over yourself. It's time to move on and be tough. And so I miss Pop Up a lot.
I, in honor of Pop-Pop, am actually going to be brief. I love him. I'm gonna miss him. And both my grandpas were my favorite people to go to for advice when we really needed it. The big advice. I'm just really grateful for all the time that we had and all the advice we were able to get. And I feel Pop-Pop around still. So I just want to do a toast to Pop-Pop, even though we're not at the end yet. A midway toast to Pop-Pop. To Donald, to Big Thumb. Yeah, I'm gonna miss it.
Okay, my name's Brooke. I am the third of the Bollinger children. I wanted to share a couple memories today. So I have the honor of actually getting to live with my mom and pop for pretty long periods of time during my middle school and high school years. I got to stay up here while I was training for soccer in Charlotte. So many precious moments I got to share with them on just a day-to-day basis. My mom and I would talk for hours over dinner. We'd watch movies. We would swim at the YMCA pool. Many of you I know of because I would hear all about her conversations with you guys over the phone. Now with Pop-Pop, my time was mostly spent in the car, going to and from my soccer practices. At the time, his boss was very flexible with him leaving and making sure I got to soccer practice, so thank you, Uncle Steve. We had a lot of time together on our way to soccer practice, and we usually had a lot of time once we got there too, because if practice was at 7, we'd be there at 5:45, ready to go. As you guys know, Pop-Up was a man of very few words, and for those of you that know me, especially in my younger years, I was one of few words as well. So I always felt very comfortable and at peace with Pop-Pop because I felt like I really didn't even have to say a single word for him to know what I was feeling and what I needed to hear. So a lot of those car rides consisted of him telling funny stories to make me laugh, or giving me encouragement, or motivation. Sometimes he just knew if I just needed silence and his presence there. Normally some sports on in the background on the radio. But none of those scenarios occurred without him always saying how much he loved me and how proud he was of me. Now on our way home from practices, usually in the afternoon, my mom would always tell us, don't stop for food, I have leftovers at home. So a conversation we always had on the way home was, where do we want to stop for food? And we were both creatures of habit, so the conversation was usually pretty quick. We were either deciding are we going to Chipotle or tacos for life. And we had a really good time just rebelling a little bit against my mom. And we'd make sure that all evidence and like remnants of us going out for food was gone before we got home. I love you so much, my mom, and thank you for never being too hard on us when we teamed up against you a little bit. There's one more scenario that happened very frequently where we teamed up a little bit on you. As all of you know, parties, social engagements, invitations to dinner, phone calls, my grandmother lives for it. Pop-Pop does not. Now, I naturally sided with Pop-Pop on this one, so whenever Mom would bring this up, we would team up a little bit and we'd come up with any excuse that we could to either get out of it or a reason why we needed to leave early. Now, we normally succeeded and we'd get in the car and share a fist bump and grab some ice cream on the way home. Now, in these moments, my mom would always scuff at me and say, "You're just like Pop-Pop." And I always loved to hear that whenever she shared with me that I was just like Pop-Pop, because I knew that that meant I was strong, I was kind, I was honest. He had so many good qualities that I could go on for a long time, but I will miss him and remember those memories forever. And all of those qualities I see throughout my siblings, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, and already starting to see my cousins' kids over there at the table. So I'm excited for us to be able to continue to carry on that little bit of pop-up that's in each of us. So thank you all for being here.
Hello, my name is Bear. I'm the youngest of the Bollinger children, and by Pop-Pop standards, most manly, because I'm the only one that's ever broken his nose. The moment Pop-Pop was there for me was when I was 14 years old. We were at our famous Steinbacher Bollinger Beach Week. Ben had this really cool GoPro that he was going to take a bunch of videos on. And I was like, man, let me wear it. It's going to be so cool and take it out of the ocean. And I lost it. Like, right off my head. And he was not happy. He was like yelling at me. I was so upset. I was sad. I was like, what's going on? But who, other than Pop-Pop, would have shown up, said, boys, stop fighting, get in the car, drive us all to Best Buy, get a new GoPro right there. And I remember it was like a couple weeks before that his brother just passed and said, like, guys, don't fight about silly things like that. Then went together and put all the rest of the videos together from the new GoPro into this awesome Bollinger Steinbacher Beach Week edit that never would have happened without Pop-Up, who was probably not featured in many of the videos, but it never would have happened without him, just like tonight, this family never would have happened without the greatness of Pop-Up themselves. Thank you all so much.
All right, we need Michael, Ethan, and Sam. Come on up.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Michael, oldest grandson. Had to follow the Bollinger Waterworks there. Give me a good punch right there. Right in the nose. Two quick reflections, and then I'll hand it off to the other little Steinies up here with me. Number one, as it's been said, my mom loves a program, loves an agenda. Not many beach vacations have an opening ceremony and a closing ceremony, 2 ceremonies. And if Pop-Up were here, he'd be sitting kind of where Corey is, back there in the black shirt, and he'd be yelling at us to hurry up already, because it's taking way too long. And now at our beach, vacations is going to go on for hours. So he has to take on that role, probably. Rick's not going to do it. Reflection number 2 is the piece of football advice that really stuck with me that Pop told me. I put it in the little book that Donna gave. For special teams specifically, he said, if you're blocking on like a kickoff return, he's like, do not square up to block anyone. Don't break stride. Just keep running. Run through them. Don't try to block them, just run. And run to the other side of that person. It was like they won't be able to dodge you. He was right. It worked really well. And I think it kind of summed up how he lived his life. He would pick a direction. He wouldn't waver. He would just go. And if people got in his way, he was probably going to bulldoze through it. So, we all love Pop. You kind of heard that he was able to spend a lot of time with all 9 of us one-on-one, which is pretty rare and impressive. So we'll miss him. I'm glad he got to meet some great grandchildren. I think he was really grateful for that too. You'll see some pictures, but yeah, we miss Pop. Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm the youngest of all of them. Kind of like other people are trying to, I'm going to try to be grateful to Pop a little bit. And as Donna was saying, yes, no matter what, at whatever time, Pop was always ready to take someone to the airport. Didn't matter who, didn't matter when, he was going to do it. And I know he did that for me several times. And I think I see a little bit of him in everybody, and I know that he loved to follow along with everyone, even when he wasn't doing so well. He wanted all of our locations to track and see where we were going and follow along with whatever everybody was doing. I still have his location on my phone. I looked at it the other day just for fun. I think everybody's really going to miss him, but we all know there's a little bit of in and out, all of us. I'll let the poet go.
So I'm following up as the last cousin here. I've always considered myself the anchor, both in a mass sense and in an emotional regulation sense. I usually try to improv speeches like this, but I figured I'd try and write something down. I thank my other cousins for being brief, because now I don't have to. Rick, if I start tearing up, you have my permission to come slap me on the back. The loss of a loved one always brings up a whole host of memories and emotions. Since Pop passed, I've felt grief at the loss, relief at knowing he's no longer in pain, joy in the remembrance of all the time we spent together, and then sadness again in knowing that we don't live anymore. All of these emotions I expected and have been feeling in some measure for the past few years, as Pop's passing was not a sudden one. Something that's been happening for a long time now. It was hard for all of us to watch. We've kind of been grieving in stages, all of us. One emotion that I've been running into rather unexpectedly since his death has been that of Sonder. For those that are unaware, Sonder is the feeling or realization that everyone else around you has their own life that is just as vivid and complex as your own. I think we often, just as humans, get caught up in the mud of our own lives and rarely pick our heads up and realize everyone else is going through it just the same way we are. They have their own goals and their own struggles, but they also have their own moments of intense joy, their own bouts of laughter so hard that their stomach hurts, their moments of fierce pride and affection for their family. Looking back through old pictures, watching this slideshow has made me more aware than I ever was that I was only present and aware for a fragment of Pop, or as many of you, Donald, Big Thumbs life. He's always been a grandfather to me, but to others he's been a father, a husband, a friend, a teammate, a co-worker, a cigar partner, and just an all-around good man. Seeing everyone who gathered here to celebrate him here today, on top of everyone who has reached out to myself and our family, expressing condolences, and just how much they appreciated him, has fully confirmed in my mind that the life Pop lived was a selfless one, making the experience of everyone around him better. He was an amazing human, and the impact he has made on me and everyone here is not one that will fade anytime soon. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. My daughter Donna told me, don't write something and then read it, just say it. And I can sit down at the typewriter and just write, not even stall. But I don't have the guts to do it without having it in front of me because I'm afraid I might freeze. So Donna, forgive me if I still breathe. I hope it won't be too boring. I first became aware of the name Donald Steinbacher when I was in high school. He was well known as a standout football player, one of the rare ones awarded a full scholarship to Penn State University. He was also recognized as the smartest male senior in his class and was honored to be the president of the 13 Club, which was made up of the 13 smartest boys in the school. I was not one of the popular girls, but I developed a crush on him from afar. I used to race between classes just to catch a glimpse of him walking into honors English class. I would even sit in a car outside his Northeast Philadelphia row house, hoping I could just see him walk out. As fate would have it, in homeroom, I sat behind his best friend at the time, another football player. One school day, I was feeling particularly confident because I had just been awarded the best typist of all Philadelphia, 1962. So I boldly that day told Bill Grant that I had a crush on Don. Apparently, Bill told Donald and advised him to ask me out because I had a nice ass. This is a true story. So apparently Donald agreed because that night, that very day in the evening, he called me and asked me to go out on a double date with Bill and his girlfriend. We went to the movies, and I'll never forget that moment when he put his arm around me in the theater. I felt chills and vibes go all the way down the left side of my body and into my feet. That was a Friday night. The very next night, Saturday, this gorgeous hunk of a guy asked me out again, this time just the two of us. We had cheeseburgers at Big Boys on the Boulevard in Philadelphia, and he gave me his gold public league championship football charm to wear around my neck. This signified that I was going steady with a football player. This was the second date, and then he told me we were going to spend the rest of our lives together. I was thrilled and amazed, and we were just 17 years old, and apparently hadn't put hardly any thought into the whole thing. That's the way it was in those days. I share this story because it shows who Donald was. He was a get-it-done kind of guy. There was no beating around the bush with him. He wasn't one to waste time on trivial things. He never dated anyone else but me, and he never kissed another girl. And I know this is the truth too. If you knew him, you would know it was true. He would never waste his time on such folly like dating. So now we fast forward 64 years. The morning before he died, he simply told me, "I want to go." He never spoke another word after that sentence. He slipped into unconsciousness. The hospice nurse had just been there the day before, and his vitals were stable. There was no indication that death was imminent. She was shocked he passed away in less than 2 days, but I wasn't. Once Donald made his mind up, he acted swiftly, just like he always did. He didn't waste time, he just wanted to get it done. I have one more high school story to share. In our senior year, I was a sports editor of the Frankfort High School newspaper. To this day, I don't have any idea how I got that role. Probably no one else wanted to do it. But each month I had to interview a star athlete and write a feature on that person. Donald was the fourth athlete I interviewed over the phone. I always asked the same questions. What do you do on weekends? What corner do you hang out on? And do you have a girlfriend? The first few athletes had no shortage of things to brag about. But Donald was different. He told me he didn't do anything on weekends. Nothing. He didn't hang out anywhere, and he absolutely didn't have a girlfriend. He was so humble, and that made him even more attractive to me before we ever went out. Ironically, what drew me to him in the first place became something that I hated. And it frustrated me so much later, because Donald continued to have no desire to go out or socialize. He wasn't a party guy. He was simply happy being home, surrounded by family, doing what others might call nothing. But to him, nothing was everything. I know Nancy. Every time I go somewhere with my friend Nancy, who came all the way from Pennsylvania, she knows that how upset me when he wouldn't want to do anything. It was a name he used every time I suggested we take a trip, go to a concert, see a movie, or to get together with other couples. To illustrate how different we were that way, I remember my 50th birthday. Our 3 kids wanted to throw me a big party with lots of people, and Donald was appalled. He couldn't understand why I would let my kids spend money on me just to make a fuss. He didn't want any attention or celebration, so how could I? But on the other hand, I loved being the center of attention. Donald had the mindset of an offensive lineman. His whole life was about paving the way for others to shine while keeping himself in the background. State campus when we were in college, I can still feel the joy he gave me when he proudly introduced me to others as his girlfriend. So for nearly 60 years of marriage, I was really proud to be his wife. Donald had a strong moral compass. He was straight as an arrow, loaded with character and integrity, and I could always count on him. He never let me down. When my own mother became elderly and needed care, she called Donald her lifeline. Truth be told, she started loving him more than she loved me. She actually wanted to change his will and make him the recipient. That's a true story, too. He was my rock, my safe place, and even though he didn't always want to go places or do anything with me, I know he loved me deeply and he made me feel secure. He was above all the ultimate family man. He loved his kids and grandkids more than anything. And I'm going to miss him every week asking me, what are the kids doing this weekend? And I would say, well, the kids, age 58, 57, 53, I don't know what they're doing. What I'm really going to miss about Donald and our marriage was sharing the joys and concern of our children's lives, their ups and downs, their successes and struggles. Now, I won't have anyone that will care as much as he did along with me. In closing, I want to thank our children for everything they did for us, especially in the last year and a half. We could have never crossed that final stretch without them. I'll never forget Steve lifting his father up again and again, helping him stand when he was so afraid of the fall. In the end, Donald couldn't feel his feet, so he couldn't. Try not to cry, but I'll always hear. Hey, you know what? That really helps. That's good. I'll always hear Steve's voice saying, "I've got you, Dad. I've got you, Dad." Donald fell many times, and every time he did it, say, "Call Steve, he'll make it right." And then I would think, well, what's Steve want to do? You know, but that was something that he felt. If he fell, Steve would make it right. Donna was her father's primary caregiver. She did personal, difficult things for him that I know she'd never imagined she could do, or that Donald would even let her do. But she did it all willingly and lovingly. She was the one I cried out for in the middle of the night, and at the crack of dawn if I needed help. Rick's timing was perfect. He arrived from Chapel Hill the day before Donald his whole last night. He was with me and Donna when Donald took his last breath. Even from 2 hours away, Val was constantly checking in, calling, visiting, always being there for me. And Erica, no, okay.
You're on your own now.
Okay. And Erica, our daughter-in-law, never ceased to amaze me. Whether we were in the ER, the hospital stay, or a crisis at home, which there often were, she always showed up. She would get to the ER and hospital even before I did. Donald revered Erica and trusted her completely. The greatest gift my husband ever gave me was the children and the family we created together, and I could have never done it without him, as you know. I will be forever grateful for his steady presence, his quiet leadership, and for being a great father, and exactly the type of husband I needed. We both knew how lucky we were, and God was with us through it all. So, for better or worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death parted us. And now, at 80 years old, I get it now. So, Donald Steinbacher, thank you for witnessing my life for 64 years, and I will miss you so much.
I'm gonna need a slap in the back here. I, like my mom and my sister, like to wing it, but I can't here, so forgive me for using notes. But I'm gonna talk a few minutes, as quickly as I can. Donna's gonna come up and talk and probably perform, and then Steve's gonna wrap us up. There is nothing tougher than true gentleness, and there is nothing gentler than true toughness. One more time, thank you to everybody who's here tonight to celebrate Big Thumb, Dad, Pop. My dad was the ultimate family man. While I have many cherished memories of his awesome example of gentleness and toughness, it's the toughness that shaped me the most. So when I get to my couple of quick stories here, just keep that in mind. It's going to skew towards the toughness side. I've got just 5 quick memories I want to share as quickly as I can. So chapter 1 is caregivers. I want to begin with my brother and sister because their caregiving for my dad in his last chapter of life was remarkable. But first, let me tell you where those skills started. This is my earliest memory as a human being on earth. I'm not saying it's accurate, I'm just saying this is how I remember it. It's 1976, I'm 5 years old and I'm in kindergarten. For the first time ever, mom and dad are staying away overnight. And instead of taking us to Graham Bacher's house or to Graham Goody and Pop's, they decide it's time to leave the 3 kids home alone overnight. Thank you. Certainly a 5-year-old cannot care for himself, but under the loving supervision of his 10-year-old big brother and his 8-year-old big sister, what could go wrong? I remember a fun evening. Steve and Donna were actually nicer to me than usual. We had a great dinner. We watched something on channel 2, 6, or 10. This was long before cable or even VCRs. I remember them waking me up, telling me it was time for school. They encouraged me to brush my teeth, get dressed, grab my backpack, and come down for breakfast. I remember it was a good breakfast, though at my age, my standards were not all that high. I put on my coat, I put on my backpack, and Steve and Donna graciously walked me to the front door, sending their little brother off to conquer another day of kindergarten. I walked out the front door and it slammed and locked behind me. I looked around. There was no school bus. There was no light. It was pitch black, 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm kind of proud of myself that I really don't remember being afraid, but I will never forget the sound of Steve and Donna laughing hysterically on the other side of that locked door. Well, I'm super glad that their caregiving skills improved dramatically. Because in my dad's final year and a half, and my mother already touched on this, they were unbelievable angels. Donna moved in, doing everything needed to care for Dad. I love you, Donna. And lighten Mom's load. Steve was always, as my mom said, coming running, spending hours with Dad in each of those last months. Of course, having the best family doctor in the county and the chief family resident sharing your last name is a pretty good benefit. So I want to say a huge shout out and thank you to Erica and Michael Thank you for everything you did to make Pop-Pop's final days as great as they could be. And to all the cousins, you showed up. You reminded Pop-Pop how deeply loved he was. The day my dad died, Donna and I said how grateful we were that the final night was exactly what it should have been. A loud party in his house. Michael and Jordan brought Cece, Arlo, and baby Lincoln over. First time I ever even got to meet Lincoln. And it's happened thousands of times in my dad's house. That simple family visit turned into a loud, joyful, borderline chaotic party. Cece and Arlo running around, laughing hysterically at everything. That is exactly how his last night on earth should have been. There's a sign that hung in my parents' home for many years. The greatest gift a father can give his children is to love their mother. Dad did that better than anyone. The second greatest gift he gave Steve, Donna, and me was the gift of family. He lived it, he spoke of it, and when necessary, he demanded it. I'll meet you at the bar later for a couple of those stories. Donna cheating in checkers and me calling Steve a word I shouldn't call him. Today, there are 9 cousins and 3 grandcousins here. Watch them today, watch them anytime. See how they interact, how they genuinely love each other, and you will see the legacy of Don Steinbacher. And before moving on, one more big thank you to the entire Cabarrus Brewing Company, Criterion Healthcare, and Tout City Tavern family that is here tonight. You all embraced my dad. You made him feel valued, needed, and appreciated. That was a priceless gift. And I also thank my big bro for that. All right, chapter 2, I'm gonna go quicker now. Shut the hell up and compete. I have so many football memories with my dad. He was there every step, supportive all the way. When I played in high school, we talked every night. When I played in college, we talked on the phone every night. I couldn't wait to tell him what happened in practice, good or bad. He took great joy in helping me process it, learn it, and get better. Summer of 1991, I'm a rising redshirt sophomore at Carolina. 3rd year in the program, and I'm still the backup behind All-American Dwight Howard. I love you, Dwight. Thank you for being here. Dwight is my mentor, my friend, and my brother. I walk into Keenan Fieldhouse and I see Dwight 10 feet ahead of me on crutches and in a boot. Word spreads quickly. Dwight's got a broken foot. He's missing at least the first few games. As bad as I felt for Dwight, I apologize, Dwight. I realized this meant that I was a starter and I was fired up. The next day, our coach called me into his office and he said, Rick, I believe in you. You can do this. Watch more film. Be ready to make the calls. He tells me which tapes to grab and where to go get them. On my way out of the defensive staff room, I see the depth chart posted over the door. This is the depth chart the players aren't supposed to see. It has an incoming freshman listed as the starter over me. I was pissed, forgive my language. I called my dad. I vented to him how unfair it was, how angry I was. I told him if you weren't going to give me a chance, I was thinking about quitting, maybe even transferring. He listened to me for a few minutes, and then in that stern, direct, no-nonsense tone that only Steve, my mom, and Donna and I know, he said, Rick, shut the hell up and compete. He told me if I didn't want to get beat out, the only person that could prevent that was me. Find out what you do better than that other guy, and do those things so well that whatever he does better than you won't matter. So that's what I did. I competed. Had my dad commiserated with me that night, I would have quit. But instead, he challenged me. And because of that conversation, I started 30 games, and I became a team captain my senior year. Yes, Dwight did come back and beat me out, but that's okay. All right, chapter 3, shut the hell up and be grateful. Yes, sometimes I'm a slow learner. Fast forward about 15 years. I've been working at Carolina in the football program for about 6 years, and I moved into athletics administration. A few months in, I was absolutely miserable. My kids were pissed off that I left the football center, and I was wondering why I did this. I felt out of place. I called my dad. I said, Dad, I'm working 7 days a week. I feel like I'm in over my head. Coach A and Coach B are upset with me. I just wish I could go back to football. Anyone want to guess how Dad responded? Shut the hell up and be grateful. Ricky said, you work on a college campus and you get paid to go to games, so shut up, do your job, and be glad you have it. You know what? I don't think I ever complained to my dad about anything in my life. After that moment. Even now, 2 or 3 times a week, I drive past the old well or the bell tower. I hear his voice. You work on a college campus. This past spring, I was in Boston watching our women's lacrosse team win the national championship. As a team celebrating, I'm thinking of my dad. Rick, you're getting paid to be here for this moment. I thank my dad for his toughness, because it's one of the most important things I've ever had in my life. All right, we're getting closer. My father was my example of Jesus Christ. I've already shared how football shaped my relationship with my dad, but it wasn't just about the game. Sports were the vehicle our dad used to teach us the most important things in life. My earliest, happiest memories, other than Donna and Steve locking me out, are of Phillies games with my dad, sitting in Veterans Stadium, falling in love with sports and game days. But my most meaningful memories came in Keene Stadium. When I played as a team, we would arrive 2 hours before kickoff. Stadium's empty except my dad. He bribed the ticket guys and let him get in early. He had his favorite seat, 45-yard line, very last row, upper deck, binoculars around his neck, watched every single step of warm-ups. After games, I'd come out of the locker room with a pizza in one hand, all the brothers, as my brother said, remember this. And there were lots of people out there to see, but the only one that mattered to me was my dad. We would embrace, we'd talk about the game, and for those few moments, it was just the two of us. In those moments, he taught me his greatest lesson. Winning or losing didn't matter. Playing well or poorly, irrelevant. What mattered was, did I do my best? Did I give it my all? Was I a great teammate, and did I listen to my coaches? It wasn't about the outcome, it was about the process. Above all, was I someone who put others first? That lesson, taught over and over again to me by my dad, is the greatest example of Jesus Christ and Christianity I've ever known. And I hope to finish this game of life with those principles in mind. Someday I could emerge from this life, maybe with a Domino's pizza, maybe not, and have one more of those conversations with my dad, with Steve Chambers, and with Jesus Christ himself. Final chapter. The two greatest people I've ever known, met, or even heard of in my life are my father and my father-in-law, and I consider that my greatest blessing. I love songs. I love country music. Sorry, big bro. There are things that matter. There are things that don't. I'm holding on to what I love, and I'm leaving the rest behind. When it comes to things that don't matter, my father and father-in-law could not have been any more opposite. One was a college wrestler. One was a college football player. One was a farmer. The other was a businessman. One was from the South. The other from the North. One was a Southern Democrat. The other a lifelong Republican. One wore overalls. The other a business suit. One was fiscally conservative. The other fiscally aggressive. But in the things that do matter, these two men were absolutely identical. They both only loved one woman. They both were fiercely patriotic. They both were men of deep, deep faith. They both were grateful for what they had. They both believed their greatest contribution was the people they left behind. In the things that matter, my father-in-law and my father are the two greatest men I've ever known. And that is the gift that I'm the most thankful for in my entire life. I'm going to wrap up very, very briefly here. I'm not going to do it with my words. Nancy and Mike Frederick, thank y'all for being here. These are the words of my father at Tom Frederick's celebration of life. And to watch him say these words to you all and to Tom, it makes me have such joy for you, but my gosh, my dad could have been talking about himself in that very moment. These were his final words that I'll wrap up with. Tom loved his wife and kids and super talented grandkids. He never stopped talking about them. I can attest that Michelle, Lisa, and Michael provided him his greatest joys in life. I've heard it said that the best testimony of a successful life is how well your children and grandchildren turn out. Using this as a measuring stick, I don't know how anyone could have been considered more successful than Tom Frederick with the help of his wife, Nancy. I know that everyone attending tonight can attest to Tom's accomplishments and the accomplishments of his family. Job well done, Moose. I love closing with my father's words. Okay, Donna, you're up.
I'm hard act to follow, and I swore I wouldn't get emotional, but Rick, you know what to do. I'm serious. I'm gonna need that. All right, so I'm not gonna do the guitar yet, but this song that I love kind of sums it up very wonderfully. So I got my roommate from college here, Jen Penn, all my kids, all my new church family back there. I'm seeing faces from college that I would have never expected to see, and it's just amazing. And my dad's doctor is here, right here. My dad's doctor came. My mom's church friends are here. This is our neighbor from when I was 2, 3, 4 years old, Greg Parks, right in the front seat. And then we had Nancy come and Dottie all the way from Penn State. And Todd, of course, back there. Brian, my ex, is here. And I think that's a real testament to the Steinbacher family and the Bollingers. So thank you for coming, Brian. And all right, so here we go. I did have to take some notes. And Joel is here, my right-hand man. So, all right, so the last 2 days of my dad's life, as you have heard, he was very unresponsive. So whenever I get nervous about things, I run to my sister-in-law, Erica, who's a doctor. I said, Erica, do you think he can hear us? And she's like, well, usually the hearing is the last thing to go. And I just so wanted him to hear what was happening at his house that night, because it was everything that he worked so hard to build. Rick had arrived, and we call him the Funkle, because he is a very fun uncle. So he was getting Cece and Arlo all riled up, and we were just adoring the new Steinbacher man, Lincoln. And so when I got my chance to hold Lincoln, I walked him into my dad's room, and I was just so hoping that he could hear me. And I think he probably could, right, Erica? And I just assured him, I said, Dad, we are going to carry out your legacy of being a united family that gets along and just does all it can to support each other. Through the thick and the thin, we're all very different. I'm the most different, I would have to say. But so between all the way from me to Arlo, I think we are going to make that a definite priority, thanks to my father, because that is all he ever wanted. He set the stage for this in our lives, and I can remember it from the time I was about 10 or 11 years old. One of my greatest memories is when we moved from California back to Pennsylvania, because we just needed to be, close to family. We were having a good time out there, and I got awarded the most valuable swimmer on my team out in California. But we were already in Pennsylvania. But my dad went so far as to buy a plane ticket for me and my mom and him, and we flew back for that banquet. Because he just always made me feel so special. Like, he didn't just write it off as something, oh well. And at that time, the Muppet movie was out, and I loved the movie The Rainbow Connection. I don't know, you guys know the song by Kermit the Frog, The Rainbow Connection? And I think we might have gone to see that, but it was a specific moment. We were driving over the Golden Gate Bridge, and that song came on the radio. And I don't even remember the banquet. I just don't even remember that. But I remember that day, driving over the bridge, listening to that song and thinking that I had the best dad in the whole wide world. So, right. So what we would do, my dad and I together, is we would love to drive and listen to music, and I would say to him, I knew this like very, very early on in life, I'd say, Dad, I'm in a dark life, when I was feeling down. And then when I was feeling happy again, things were good, I would say, Dad, I am in the bright life. So ever since to his last day, we would always say, be in the bright life. Do you remember this term? I mean, we would always say, okay, just get in the bright life. So I tried so hard to do that. I even wrote a book and dedicated to him about this. And I would have to say for you Harry Potter fans out there, expecto patronum. You know what expecto patronum means? I have a lot of those with my dad, but that day on that Golden Gate Bridge is my expecto patronum. What Harry Potter used to have to muster up his fondest memory to, get the Dementors away. And that is, every time I hear the Rainbow Connection, it takes me right back to being on that bridge with my dad. So those were the earlier days. We have the final days, the earlier days, and now I want to tell you about some special days. All right, so for the last year and a half, my dad's health has been really failing. Although emotionally, we had days that rivaled those days back when I was young and we were going to swim meets. And I got to know his heart and the depth of his optimism and his character. And when he started falling, this was back in December when I decided to move up in health, my heart broke. My heart hurt so much. I just didn't know if I could handle the pain to see him falling. But as those 6 months progressed, we started really working together and making a lot of fun out of it. We were innovative, using the recliner, and I would run down. My mom would call me, I'd run down, and I'd say, I love you, Dad. And he'd say, I love you too, Donna. And my mom would go, oh, stop all that. But never once did we not say, I love you, before we had to make this valiant attempt to get him off the ground. A lot of times we had to call the fire department, and he would just even be so awesome with the fire department. You know what he's like, Mark? It was just amazing. They'd walk in, and he would be quick-witted, have a great sense of humor, and he'd always say, you saved my ass. So I just admired everywhere I went, people that helped take care of him, they'd say, your dad is one of my favorites. I said, oh, here we go again, Dad. So those were some special moments, but then there was profound moments. When he was in the rehab center, that was probably the hardest stretch. And although he was realizing that he wasn't going to improve physically, watching him emotionally rally day after day was so inspiring. I didn't know where he found the strength, especially being the big, strong guy that he once was. How can he do this? It's just set an amazing example. So he would really look forward to my visits. We would take a spin around the whole facility, go to my car for gum. We always had our thing. We'd catch up on the news. But the most special thing is that I got to play my guitar for him because I had a captive audience. So one night he couldn't sleep, and I said, Dad, would you like me to play my guitar? And he said, actually, Donna, I would really love that. I said, I'm on it. Because we're a sports family, we're not really a music family. So we would play all my mom's favorite Gator songs, and he knows these words, trust me, knows them very well. And the whole facility was very loud. You could hear TVs blaring. But in our room, while we were playing these songs, I felt God's presence. And my dad had had his struggles, in business, because he didn't really like to play the, political game. Thank God for Steve and his business. But I just felt like we were the richest people in the world. That's exactly how I felt. It's not the material things that matter. It's the spiritual things. And I really believe God was touching our hearts. And although my dad did not talk about God a lot, I believe he lived it. And I think the greatest thing that he left us is his faith, because he lived it. And that's what this song is about. It is called God is in This Story. You know it? You do? Okay, sing along, please. All right. Oh, I forgot to tell you one thing. So, when I picked up Joel this morning, he said, you know, I don't know if I should tell you this or not, but every time your dad picked me up, he'd be waiting by the baggage claim. Like, he was always early, he would park, none of this driving around, and he would wait for us to walk off of that plane. So I'm grateful. That's just another story about my dad. I'm grateful that Joel showed up because, like I said, I had to move up here, and he showed up, and look, you know, he just set me up here like this. So hopefully this will sound okay. All right, here we go. All right, I'm just gonna do it by minute. Here I there's no other pages in this book, words to tell me I'm no good, chapters that define me for so long. From the hands of grace and endless love, dusty around and pick me up, broke my heart that hope is never gone. God is in this story, God is in the details, even in the broken parts, He holds my heart, He never fails. When I'm at my weakest, I will trust in Jesus, even in the eyes of those who one goes before me. God is in the story. So if the storm you're walking through feels like it's too much to do, wonder if He's even there at all. Just hold on tight to what you know. Promise He will let you go. Your song of healing's written in His scars. God is in this story. God is in the details. Even in the broken parts, He turns my heart. He never fails when I'm at my weakest. If it reads like addiction, if it reads like disease, He's the one who frees the prisoner, He's the healer of all things. If it reads like depression, if it reads broken home, He's the one who owns your sorrow, He will be with you. Everybody, God is in this story. God is in the detail. Even in the broken parts, He holds my heart. He never fails. When I'm at my weakest, I will trust in Jesus. Always in my eyes, the one who goes before me. Always in my eyes, the one who goes before me. God is in the story. Right here, it happened for me.
All right, big bro. Okay, I think we can all agree that if my father was here now, he would have pulled an Irish exit a long time ago. He would be sitting at home right now watching something on ESPN. I guarantee it. I also want to say, Rick, if I get emotional, you can hit me. But my reflex won't be to hit you back.
No, you're up.
All right, so just be prepared. I think, at least I can speak for myself. I never really put a lot of thought on what I would say at my father's, whether it's a funeral or service, whatever this was, until it was about a year ago, and I was sitting in Augusta on one Saturday at Keith's father's service. And that's where it really hit me. I said, okay, what do you say at your father's service? It's hard. You know, Donna, you asked me, give me a memory to put in this book. There ain't no way I can give you a memory to put in that book. There's too many memories. Just, you can't do it. But it kind of hit me over the last year. And I don't know about everybody, but I grew up in one of those homes that at the time was filled with a bunch of corny sayings hanging on the wall. Okay, that thing, MPEC gun or whatever it was, what things happen to us folks when we start getting old. And again, these things are all over the house, and you never really pay attention to it. I remember, sitting in the bathroom reading that thing every time for years. You would read it, and it really wouldn't strike you. It really wouldn't hit you, okay? And all of a sudden, after this Saturday in Augusta, I started slowing down a little bit, and I started reading these things. I started paying a little more attention to them, okay? And I think that's a thing. You lose a parent, you start to acknowledge some of this stuff a little bit more. You start thinking about it. And here's this one that has sat on our TV table forever, okay? And it's really not something that I ever spent a lot of time with, and I'm sure, Erica, you put this up there, and again, I appreciate it. And it says priorities, okay? It says, it says 100 years from now will not matter what my bank account was, what sort of house I lived in, what kind of car I drove, but the world may be a different place because important in the life of a child. That's what it's all about. My dad, you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. He used to tell me over and over again, don't worry about money. Don't worry about any of that. Do the right thing, and it all takes care of itself. He struggled professionally in a couple areas. My mom shared with me some of the things he would say at the end. Listen, I got a raw deal. I didn't play the corporate game. I didn't get involved in politics. There you go, right there. But at the end of the day, the level of a man or woman's success is really totally predicated on the difference they make in the lives of others. I think, we can sit here as a family and really appreciate the impact that my father made on us as a family.
Harlow, hit him in the back.
But again, I look at the impact that he's made on a lot of other people. Not just us as a family. My brothers from college are here. Some of the people that I've worked with for years that, again, are brothers. My father impacted them. And to me, there's nothing that says success like the ability to impact these people and do it in such a profound way. And again, I think that's what, I strive to make a positive impact, not just in my family, but in our community. I thank my father for that. And he's the one that really sets that up. So, we're here to celebrate. We're here to really appreciate, and so many of us have been fortunate to have great families, great parents. Some of us not, but again, those, we all strive to make the world a better place. And that's really what we have to do. And I have no doubt that our little world, which is not really little, it's pretty big. If you look at this, and I know there were a lot more people that wish they could have been here tonight. The world is a better place because of the actions and the principles and teachings of my father. So again, I thank you all. I thank you. I thank my mother. Again, the greatest thing that I read in another one of those corny things, the most important thing parents can do for their children is give them self-reliance. What does it mean to be on your own, to take care of yourself? Again, I thank my father for giving me confidence. Okay? Confidence is the single most important thing that I think a parent can instill in their children. I sure as hell hope my kids are confident. I think they are. Okay? I know they are. And I know that because my father instilled confidence in me. I instilled confidence in Rick. I know instilled confidence in Donna. That is the mark of true success. It doesn't matter an ounce what your bank account was, what your portfolio was. That is irrelevant. Value is in how you impacted other people. There's so many people in this room that have impacted people. And again, for that, we always have to celebrate. So with that, do we have anything else, Rick?
I'll close it real quick.
All right, we're gonna close this thing, but I thank everybody for coming. I thank everybody for playing a role in my father's life, my mother's life. It means the world to us. And again, I think we're all striving to make our world a better place. Thank you, Dad.
All right, I will close this with one quick apology and then one quick thank you. My father, who is now in heaven, I apologize for how long we made this program go. When my mom, Donna, Steve, and I make it to heaven, please do not punish us for how long this program was. And then one final thank you. Just the people that are here, thank you so very, very much for coming out and helping us celebrate the ultimate family man. We love each and every one of you. We thank you. Please stay and drink as much of my brother's beer as you possibly can, because this is a celebration and I hope it goes on for a lot longer. Thank you all.
Baby, I've been searching like everybody else. Can't say nothing different about myself. Sometimes I'm an angel and sometimes I'm cruel. And when it comes to love, I'm just another fool. Yes, I'll climb a mountain. I'm gonna swim the sea. There ain't no act of God, girl, could keep you safe from me. My arms are reaching out across this canyon. I'm asking you to be my true companion, true companion, true companion. So don't you dare and try to walk away. I got my heart set on our wedding day. I've got this vision of a girl in white. Made my decision that it's you, alright. When I take your hand, I watch my heart set sail. I take my trembling finger and I lift up your veil. Then I'll take you home. And with wild abandon, make love to you just like a true companion. You are my true companion. I got a true companion. Oh, a true companion. When the years have done irreparable harm, I can see us walking slowly arm in arm, just like that couple on the corner do. 'Cause girl, I will always be in love with you. When I look in your eyes, I still see that spark, until the shadows fall, until the room grows dark. Then when I leave this earth, I'll be with the angels standing. I'll be out there waiting for my true companion, just for my true companion, true companion, true companion.